Hello, Tech Pros, episode 198.
Because your business so much is in line with what your personal goals are, you can actually find out, where you're going to be, and then back up from that, and then you'll learn how to do it.
Welcome to the podcast where I chat with professionals who are getting the job done using technology 7 days a week. Each week, we start with Motivation Monday. Tuesday is about productivity, Wednesday, leadership, Thursday, technology, Friday, people and communication, Saturday, entrepreneurship, and Sunday, being unplugged. All right, let's get started. Hello, Tech Pros. This is Chad Bostic, and I'm excited to introduce our featured guest today, Jaime J. Happy Tuesday, Jaime.
Happy Tuesday. How are you, Chad?
I'm doing great, man. Are you prepared to be productive?
I am prepared.
Jaime J is an avid hockey fan. Dude, go to his website and you will find out how big of a hockey fan he is. He loves the competitive spirit and the team aspect of the game. He enjoys the sport so much that he decided to integrate his passion for the sport into his passion for marketing. Jaime has been working in the sales and marketing area since he left the U.S. Army as a paratrooper for the 82nd Airborne Division in 1994. Working for 3 different Fortune 100 companies, Jaime learned quickly how to build relationships. The challenging aspect of working for a large company was having the ability to be creative. This is the main reason he went out on his own and started his own business. His first business was as a partner in a small California-based real estate advertising agency and publishing company. And after the housing bubble burst in 2008, Jaime had to start all over. As time progressed, Jaime found that he really enjoyed making websites for people. And so he started Slapshot Studio in 2013. See, I told you he was an avid hockey fan. Slapshot Studio in 2013 and never looked back. Jaime enjoys traveling, boating, playing guitar, hanging out with family, playing hockey, of course. Jaime, thanks so much for joining me on the podcast, and thank you for your service in the armed forces, man. I really appreciate all the sacrifice that you've given us.
Oh man, yeah, that was a fun time in my life. That's for sure. I have to admit though, I was pretty happy to get out. It was, it was a lot of fun. Jumping out of a perfectly good airplane is an incredible way to spend some time. Not going to do it. I don't understand it. I will never understand it. I've had so many friends and family members go, Chad, it's such a rush. You got to go up with me. We can go tandem and you can. And I'm like, no. As long as the plane is flying, I'll be happy to sit there with a pilot and co-pilot and chat about, whatever. But I'm not jumping out. Not unless the wings are falling off and everything's on fire. Yeah, it was good fun. Well, just so you know, 29 of my 30 jumps were static line, so I have only one free fall. So yeah,
I literally don't know what that means. What's a static line versus a free fall?
Well, a free fall is where you jump out and you don't have anything. You have to pull your chute. And a static line jump that's a combat jump where you jump out and you're attached to like a ripcord style line, and when you jump out, you count 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, and you feel this jerk, and it automatically opens up your chute because you're only jumping at about 800, 1,200 feet. So happens pretty quick. And if you don't feel a jerk after you hit 4,000, you got to pull your reserve.
Yeah, nope, not going to do either one of those. That's I think that static line, what you're talking about, that's the one where they push you out. They would be pushing Chad out and hooking me up to a device that would make the pull. I don't think I could count. I don't think I could do anything but just close my eyes and pray. Man, that's what I'd be doing. But tell you what, here on Productivity Tuesday, it's all about getting the most bang for our buck, whether that be with money or time or all of the above. We want to help our audience figure out what are the processes and the mindsets and the tools they need in order to get their careers or get their business launched to that next level. Jaime, you're an expert in this area because you've got you got 152 different websites that we were talking about right before the call. Maybe it was 1,050. I lost track.
Yeah,
you got a lot of stuff that you're doing. So you must be one of the most productive people that I know. But I also know that you're human and I'm human and we all make mistakes and we all get into areas of unproductivity. So if you don't mind, share with our audience maybe a time in your life when you felt completely unproductive, either at work or at life or whatever. And then we'll flip it around and see what steps you took in order to get out of it.
Sure. And again, thank you for taking the time to have me on your show. Really appreciate that. And I hope that I can add some value to your listeners. But it was probably 18 months ago. I was all over the place. And it's a bad thing in branding when someone says, well, what the heck do you do? And I was getting that a lot because, as you said, I was doing this and I was doing that. And I was making websites. I was helping people with podcasting. I was all over the place. And I was trying to put all of that under one umbrella, under one brand. And it just didn't work. I didn't have a clear, direct message. And even to this day, if you go to my website right now, we're actually building a new one because as of recently, probably about 6 months ago, we came up with a different strategy. And ever since then, it's just taken off. And we've tripled our business than last year because of the changes that we've done in productivity. So one of the biggest challenges I think people do when they first are starting out or getting going is saying yes to everything and trying to do everything that, and it's not that I couldn't do everything, but I had to start looking at things that I enjoyed doing more or had the capability of doing efficiently and in a good timeline. And so we kind of restructured everything. And instead of putting everything under the Slapshot umbrella, I broke that out into 5 different brands. And a lot of people think, well, how in the heck are you going to have time to do this? Because you're focusing on all these different things. And so what we did is we got some software to manage our onboarding process called 17 Hats. And if you haven't heard of that, highly recommend checking that out. That definitely streamlined our onboarding process. And we do that, and we have different accounts set up depending on what business it is. And what my ultimate goal would be, was to be able to help out entrepreneurs or small business owners in their journey to getting situated or, getting to their desired goal of, setting up their business, getting online, overcoming these different barriers and finding a way that they could do it without feeling overwhelmed. Now I take my weekends off. If I want to travel, I can travel. Everything's down. Everything's done. Our onboarding process is very smooth for the clients and the customers that come on board with us. And it's just, man, what a difference. So 18 months ago, it was not like that. I was all over the place. I didn't have any procedures in place. I didn't have anything. I was winging it pretty much.
Well, dude, I feel you. I resonate with that story so much because honestly, like opening up the curtains here and exposing a little bit more of Hello Tech Pros than maybe people want to hear about. But, I started this 7-day-a-week program not because I wanted to necessarily do more content, right? It was because I couldn't make a decision. Honestly, earlier this year, I could not make a decision on exactly who my audience was and exactly how I was going to help them. But I had a dozen different things that I'm passionate about, that I'm excited about, that have helped me in my career and helped me like launch my business and so forth. And these ideals, these topics are like, okay, I can build like a brand just around all of them. Like this 7-day-a-week program with its Monday motivation, Tuesday productivity, Wednesday leadership, right? Every day of the week kind of has a step in the direction of helping you build your business and build your career. And so that's what it's going to be about. But that first, like getting it off the ground, man, it did feel like complete chaos because everybody I talked to, it was a story I was having to tell about why I have all these different things and why, Jaime, you should be on a productivity episode versus an entrepreneurship episode versus a technology episode and what it all means and how it all works. And sometimes I still struggle with that. So I feel you on that about having too many things under one umbrella. So let's take it to, okay, when you implemented, like you came up with a strategy. What was the strategy that you came up with to say, okay, I'm going to break this out into 5 different things, and then we'll get into like what was the actual process and the tools that you implemented to make it all be very efficient?
That's a great question. So I kind of did everything backwards. I really didn't know what I was doing. I ventured out. It's kind of like my podcast. When I launched my podcast show, you may be familiar with this. I really didn't know what I was doing. And someone said, you need to have a podcast. I'm like, okay. 7 months later, I finally started my podcast. I did everything. There's really no rules with podcasting, but if there was, I broke all of them. And so it took me a while to figure out what was going on there. And so I realized, and I'm also part of belong to a mastermind group, and I boy, oh boy, if it hadn't been for the feedback and advice that I've gotten from my peers in the mastermind group, I don't know where I would be, because they've been such a huge help. But what I did is I took a step back. I didn't have a vision. I didn't have a mission. I didn't know what my core values were. I had a good idea, and not knowing what your mission, vision, and core values are, you will have a hard time understanding. I say you in general. You will have a hard time understanding who your actual avatar is. Who is your target market? Who is that person? And once I defined who that person was, and I added a description to that person, that really, really, really helped. And so once I kind of backed up, came up with a vision of where I want to be in 2020, and kind of rolled back from that, that completely turned my world upside down, which is a good thing. So I think kind of pulling back, and I literally stopped taking appointments for a whole week. I just didn't do anything except for focus on what I wanted to do with the business. And I came up with a vision, I came up with a mission, and I came up with my core values. And in doing that, it determined who my avatar was. And I found out that people didn't really know what I did. They knew I was kind of in tech, or I built websites, but they didn't really know. And there was no way that you could say, oh, this is Jamie J. I had one guy say I was his IT guy. I'm definitely not IT. I had another guy say, oh, he's my web guy. Oh, he's my podcast guy. And people were like, well, I don't know what the heck he's doing. So I pulled back from that. And that's kind of what I did, and I highly recommend everybody do that. One of the biggest things for me too was I was saying yes to everybody, no matter what it was. I could be doing a video, production for somebody. I could be doing animation. I could be doing email marketing. I mean, I was all over the place. So as soon as I pulled back, figured out what I really enjoyed doing, and I narrowed it down to 5 different things. And with these 5 things, I branded each of those elements separately so that I can either target somebody individually for that particular product or service, or I could present to someone that was looking to create their online experience from A to Z. I could work with them throughout the entire process and get them going that way. And so by doing that, it completely set me up to where I literally work 4 days a week now. Fridays, I leave. I'm done at 11 a.m. because I go and I play hockey, and so I'm out. So it's I've got my life back. It's fantastic.
Awesome. Well, Jamie, I love the fact that we didn't start this transition by you saying, you know what, I bought this tool, and this tool revolutionized everything because this tool absolutely made me 5 times faster in whatever area. Because so many times I think we focus, and I am so guilty of this, like shiny object syndrome. I want to find the latest and greatest thing, or I hear other people saying, hey, this tool, it's only $50 a month, and boom, I get XYZ out of it. But if we're not really focused on what's our vision, what's our mission, what's our core values, everything else can be a complete waste of time. And if you have the best tools that are making you 1,000 times more productive, but you're still split into a bazillion different directions, then it's not cohesive and it's not together. That's your biggest productivity gain, is pulling all that stuff together into what's the direction I'm going to head. And by direction, I mean exactly what you said, dude. The vision, the mission, the core values. This is what I'm all about. And this is what my brand stands for. And these are the types of customers I want to work for. And these are the ways in which I can help people. I think that's brilliant. That's beautiful, dude. And that's what a lot of people need to hear more of. It's not just about the tools. It's not even just about the process. It's about getting really, really clear and having a lot of clarity around what your focus, what your passion, what your main thing is, and how it all ties together. So once you found that, once you had that, and you're like, okay, now I know I got these 5 different businesses, I got these 5 different elements, but here's how they all tie together. Like, what was the next step? Was it finding a tool, or was it rebranding? What was the next step to get to that that productivity level where you can go play hockey?
Yeah, great question, and yeah, I totally agree. It was a series of steps that I planned out during this vision, mission, core value type review of my business and personal life that led me to be able to create the necessary steps to get to that next level. And one of the things I want to go back real quick, Chad, too, that I'm reading that book I told you about, the 12-week year. Highly recommend it. It's a fantastic book. But one of the things I learned while reading that really resonated with me was the whole thing about success. You may see people online that are just killing it and they're successful, and people think of that as being success. Mm-hmm. And I'd like to argue that thought process, because to me, one of the biggest challenges is people planning to do something. If you say, I have a goal, but you don't have any plan to get there, it's kind of a pipe dream. So my definition of success is the actual planning. And that's what you'll find in that book. It's the actual planning stage. So if you look at someone like Kevin Hart, who recently came on, he's a big actor now, big comedian. He's killing it. He's probably the last 2 or 3 years. I think he's the #1 highest paid comedian right now in the world. I mean, he's just killing it. But he got involved 14 years ago. And to me, his success was the moment he decided to get into acting, get into comedy 14 years ago when nobody knew him, and he was planning. He was going through all the ebbs and flows of a struggling actor, a struggling comedian. That was his success. And my biggest thing that I've learned is the planning stage, where that's when you're productive. You're not productive when you're successful. You're not. You're productive during that planning stage. And that's the stage where it's the most challenging part of anything. And I don't mean to get up on a big preacher's soapbox or anything like that, but just understanding that that's where the success lies, I think helps to motivate me while I'm in the trenches. I'm like, okay, I'm being successful right now. This is what I'm doing. Nobody knows it, not yet, but I'll get there. So I just wanted to kind of say that, because that understanding that led me to create the steps. And to answer your question, sorry to get sidetracked there, but to answer your question, some of the tools that I found once I needed to know where I was having a really hard time organizing my onboarding for my clients. And so I got a tool, 17 Hats, and I have built out all these workflows. It took me about a week and a half to build out all my emails, everything. But I set it up now to where no matter what kind of topic or what kind of service or product you're looking for, has a different workflow. Everything from the initial consultation all the way through to the contract and the follow-ups, everything is done for me, and it lays it out in a nice step-by-step manner. Even the invoicing is taken care of. It's pretty cool.
Nice.
So that has really, really, really helped me out. Once I identified that, I was able to build the workflow around all the various services that we offer to keep it nice and streamlined. And that does 2 things. It keeps us organized, but it also keeps the client happy because it's very professional, and it keeps them on track in line with the timeline that we set up for them. So that was one tool that I used, and I did get rid of a lot of the extra stuff. I was like, "Ooh, that's cool. I'll buy that. That's cool," and it just got to be too much. So I really simplified things, brought it down to 17 Hats, and then, of course, with the websites and stuff like that, we have some software that we need to do there, but basically, I just kind of got it down to 3 core products. My 17 Hats, our social media platform, which we use Hootsuite, and a couple others that are kind of industry specific for what we're doing here. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we've really simplified it.
Dude, that's so cool. I think I am, like I said, I suffer from shiny object syndrome every now and then. I've gotten really good since becoming an entrepreneur about, I have a fixed budget, and there's only so much I can spend on tools. So if I'm going to spend more money on a tool, like, it better be a darn good tool. And more importantly, it better free up room for my budget to like delete something else, right? So this tool better replace something. It's not just going to be another thing that I need to add. No, it better replace like 2 or 3 things that I already have and hopefully consolidate them all to one of the tools. Jaime, in just a moment, I want to ask you about, you know what, once we create this goal, we create this plan, like what's next? What are the next steps? So I know there's a lot of people out there that are launching their business. You're helping a lot of people get their business off the ground and go forward and create all good things. And so what are the steps that an entrepreneur needs to take in order to start being productive from the very get-go? But first, we'll take a quick break and thank our sponsors. This episode of Hello Tech Pros is sponsored by Minio Cloud Storage. Minio is a cloud object storage server for developers and DevOps written in Go. The Go programming language is the emerging language of choice for modern cloud infrastructure projects, and it allows Minio to be highly concurrent and lightweight. Minio is Amazon S3 compatible, built with microstorage architecture in mind, but at its heart, Minio is simple, scalable, and supported by a passionate developer and user community. In episode 89 of Hello Tech Pros, I talked with A.B. Periasamy, one of the founders of Minio, about the importance of community support and recruiting software developers who are as passionate about their product's code as artists are of their art. Check out that episode at hellotechpros.com/89 and check out Minio Cloud Storage at minio.io. That's minio.io. Are you new to podcasting? Are you looking for a fast, high-quality, yet budget-friendly podcast production team? Let TransSource Media take care of you. With a team of professional audio and video editors, writers, and graphic artists, they can help you build your podcast from planning, post-production, and platform submission. Using only cutting-edge software and studio equipment, they're here to make each and every show sound at its best. To get a free quote, please visit www.transsourcemedia.com or send them an email at marketing@transsourcemedia.com or call them at 209-505-5693. TransSource Media, transforming businesses through the power of multimedia. Okay, we're back with Jaime J. Jaime is an avid hockey fan and the head of Slapshot Studios, which he's put together, which is really like a conglomeration, dude. You're like a conglomerate of like 5 different companies. You're like the kingpin, right, of 5 different companies in 5 different industries that all kind of relate together, and it's all about helping small business owners and entrepreneurs launch their business and help get it off the ground and help them be a lot more productive. So when your typical client comes in, if you have a typical client, right, because you got kind of 5 different brands, 5 different things that you're helping them with, what are some of the biggest problems or most common problems that you see over and over again that you help solve for these clients? Like, what are they struggling with?
Oh, great question. Yeah, and while it may seem like it's overwhelming, from the outside looking in, we really have streamlined the process to help these people out. But one of the biggest challenges I see over and over and over and over again is people just not having direction. They know what they want to do. They have a hard time getting there. And it could be 3 things. Number one, they're not technically savvy. Mm-hmm. Number 2, they don't have their vision, mission, core values. They don't have that written down. They have no idea. And number 3, and this is probably the biggest one, they don't know who their target is. I say, who is your target market? They say, well, it's anybody that needs a hair dryer. It could be just anything. And so of those 3 things, those are the biggest challenges that we come across. And it is pretty much every single time. The other one that I might throw in there is somebody that understands what to do. They just don't have the time. Could be like you, super slammed and super busy. They just don't have the time to maintain the technical aspects or that stuff that's really, you just hate doing, Mm-hmm. So sure. That's where we come in, and that's the pain that we hoped to relieve from our clients and our customers, is that, we want to make sure that we can build a platform out for them. If they have a platform, we want to be able to make sure that we can maintain it, and then we also help them with their marketing efforts. So the biggest thing with marketing is it's time. That's the biggest obstacle, I think, with marketing. Second is knowledge. but first and foremost is time, because you need the time to gain the knowledge. So a lot of people just need, hey, I need you to help us with that. So I think that's what we probably help with the most.
Dude, I love that, because my audience, the folks that are listening to this, 3 out of 4 you have checked off the list on my audience, right? The first one is they are extremely tech savvy. So they don't have the problem where they're coming in saying, I don't understand this technology. I don't know. I can't figure out WordPress, or I can't figure out social media, or just whatever, all the different technical stuff. Far from it, right? The audience here are extremely technical, and there's a great chance that they actually built half of the tools that you and I use on a day-to-day basis, right? Sure. But like, at least speaking from my point of view, right, from my history of coming from a software development background and then moving into IT leadership and now coming to being a business owner, it is a big shift of just like I'm implementing somebody else's vision rather than I'm creating my own vision, right? So I'm doing a task to help somebody else fulfill their vision versus what is my vision? I know I don't want to work for somebody else. I want to do my own thing, or I know I want to like create an app and like help people with this app, or the next Angry Birds popular game or whatever.
Right.
But like, what's the real mission and core values and vision about me or about the service or product that I'm doing? And then really, like you said, that target audience is so critical, like exactly who they are. Not everybody wants to play every video game, right? There's certain people that are avid platformer video game players, right? Or not everybody needs a SaaS product that's, I don't know, does social media marketing. Just because you have a Twitter account doesn't mean you need a Hootsuite, right? So there's certain audience members or certain potential customers out there that you're trying to get in front of, and to know exactly who that is. I think a lot of technical professionals struggle with that because we know the technology and we're worried about the bits and the bytes and the cloud and the database and all that kind of stuff and how it's all going to work, but we're not really spending the time focused on why should it work and who cares if it works or not. Does that make sense to you?
100%. And I mean, is it, one of the things you can find out with your target audience or your avatar too is this even a solution that's viable? Is it a viable solution? Mm-hmm. So once you find out who that target audience is, you get to listen to them and get to hear what they're talking about. And I love the way you talked about niching down, because you can have social media SaaS, no problem, and people are most likely going to buy it. But if you think about it this way, I've got a social media solution that could work for florists, or it could work for, car sales. It could work for a plethora of different industries. But if you niche down, especially when you're first starting out, and focus maybe only on florist, or you focus only on sports teams, or only on, whatever it is, and really, really target that niche down, get successful in that niche, and then expand out. And what you'll find, I think, and at least this has been in my experience, is when I've done that and I've really niched down into certain industries, is that all of a sudden it takes away all this noise on the outside, and it allows me to focus on one item. And then once I get to a certain point where I'm actually profitable and we have all the systems and procedures in place, I can then expand out and then go into different, niches and, kind of do it over again. And over the course of time, all of a sudden you've taken a very niche down topic to, maybe a more general or more broad solution for more people. And I see that happening over and over again. One of my good friends, who actually made more money as a 15-year-old than his dad did as an accountant.
Wow.
It started off in affiliate sales, and he did this, 10 or 15 years. I think he's 30 now. He started off wanting to do affiliate sales for the NBA. A lot of people like basketball, right? Mm-hmm. And he wasn't very successful. He was out playing a pickup game of basketball one day with his friends, and he asked his buddy, he said, "Hey, what do you do? What would you do? What would you want to learn more about in your game? Break it down." He goes, "I'd love to learn how to dribble." Well, he actually took that comment, broke out a course on how to dribble better so that you could be in the NBA one day, and it blew up.
Wow.
And it took a little bit of time, right? But then he eventually widened his reach, and now he does all kinds of different stuff. But that's a good example.
That's awesome. He can dribble, he can shoot, he can pass, he can do it all. Fantastic. Yeah, I love the fact that we're niching down. I hear so many times people struggle with the fact that they need to niche down, and they're like, no, I want to do it all. Like, my business is going to serve all the people. I don't want to exclude people, right? There's this fear of, I'm going to lose out on some money. I'm going to lose out some revenue if I say no to potential clients and say, look, I'm not trying to teach you everything about basketball. I'm just trying to teach you how to dribble. Like, I'm a basketball coach. I could help anybody do like all kinds of stuff. But if you just start with that one thing, you're going to get really good at, first of all, selling and explaining what it is that you do. Like, I help people learn how to dribble. That's all. That's what I'm going to do. And yeah, along the way, once you start talking to them and showing them, then you can like maybe upsell them on the next feature, but start off small. To me, that's a huge productivity tip, because you're taking out so many different potential things that you're working on but not being productive with, if that makes sense, right? I'm spending time working on all the different things in basketball instead of being productive on selling and maximizing my dribbling course. That's the thing that's going to be productive, is just focusing on the one thing.
Yeah. You nailed it. And it's hard. I mean, it's really hard to say, I'm sorry, you can't pay me this $10,000 because it's not in line with my mission values. And while that may seem good in the beginning, and this happened to us about, oh my gosh, 18 months ago, we took on a really big project, and we struggled, and it killed us, and it ended up with us having to learn a whole bunch of new stuff that we didn't know, and it was a huge time suck. Mm-hmm. And while we did complete the project, we probably should have never taken that on, because it took us away from what our main plan was, and it actually set us back a couple of months in planning and production. So, yeah, it's definitely worth it. It's a hard decision, though. It's tough, but that's being a business owner, entrepreneur.
Exactly. If it was easy, everybody'd be doing it.
Yeah, right.
Jamie, before we go, can you share any parting words of wisdom that you have for our audience? And then audience. English is not my first language, guys. It was actually basic, and then Pascal, I think, was my second language. I've tried to pick up a little bit of English along the way. The best news or tips for our audience, final words of wisdom, and then the best way that we can connect with you, and then we'll say goodbye.
Sure thing. And thank you so much again. I hope I brought a little bit of value to the audience there. And I would say, I think the best tip, maybe, or best advice I could do would be to take some time, literally do it this weekend or plan right away, and write down where you see your life in 5 years. Write it down as if you were there. My mentor, he says it's kind of like a come as you will be party. So plan, like, what are you going to do in 2020? Like, where are you going to be? What are you doing? What kind of car are you driving? Are you traveling? Like, picture that. And then once you get an idea of what that's going to be like, because your business so much is in line with what your personal goals are, you can actually find out, where you're going to be, and then back up from that, and then you'll learn how to do it. It's again, and I'll go back to that 12-week year. It's a really neat tool if you can read that book, and it helps you break down that plan within the next 90 days. The first 90 days, you can actually start working towards that goal where you're going to be in 5 years from now. So take some time, think about it, a couple hours at least. Just spend some time on yourself and your family. Talk to your family, talk to your friends, and find out what their vision is. Is it in line with your family? Is it in line with who you're going to be with in 5 years? So I think if you can take some time back and do that, I think it'll really, really help you out. And I think you'll learn a lot about yourself if you haven't done it already.
Awesome. And how can we get a hold of you?
You can go to slapshotstudio.com. You can go to, or you send me an email, Jaime, that's Jaime at slapshotstudio.com. And on there, I can tell you all the different websites we have, but it would probably take too long. But yeah, that'd probably be the easiest way. And of course, I'm on Facebook and Twitter as well.
Well, Jamie, thank you so much for joining me on Hello Tech Pros today. I really value the fact that we started productivity with getting in touch, like touchy-feely stuff, right? Getting in touch with who you are and what resonates with you and what really inspires you and makes you want to do this stuff. It's so important to focus on that. I think we spend too much time on not productivity episodes, but just productivity discussions in general, talking about tools and strategies to implement those tools, and not enough time focusing on why are you doing this? Why is this mission so important to you? What is it about this thing? And helping people focus down on that. So I really appreciate you sharing that with us today.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Chad. I just really hope I offered a little bit of value.
You did, absolutely. Tech Pros, if you are trying to launch your business and you're thinking about, like, how am I going to get all this stuff done at night when I'm at home with my family and balance my full-time career with my family life with this new startup that I'm trying to build at the same time, dude, go back and listen to the beginning of this episode about how you don't try to do all the things. Don't try to do all things for all people. Focus on the one thing, the one aspect of one particular customer that you can help out. Be very, very specific on how you're going to help them. Not in all areas of their life and business, but just on the one thing. Just help them learn how to dribble. Focus on that. And then why? Why is it that you want to teach people how to dribble? What do you get out of it? What's your mission, your values, and your vision for this whole thing? Why are you putting it together? Once you have that, like, all the other productivity stuff are multipliers that are going to make you more and more effective. But if you don't have that, then each one of the productivity and the tool tips that you implement are just more distractors that are going to take time away from you and make you feel like you're doing too many things all at the same time. So give it a shot. You've been listening to Jamie J, and I'm Chad Bostic. Woo! And it's been a long Tuesday. And until next time, take care. The show notes page for this episode can be found at hellotechpros.com/198. Do you use Slack for team communication? Join the Hello Tech Pros Slack channel at hellotechpros.com/Slack. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review, subscribe to this channel, and check back tomorrow. This has been Productivity Tuesday, but tomorrow my featured guest and I are talking about leadership. Thursday, technology. Friday, people and communication. Saturday, entrepreneurship. Sunday, being unplugged. Monday, motivation. And then we do it all over again next Tuesday for productivity. And I'll talk to you tomorrow.